loves, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Joy, and guys, I think we have a pretty good video. This is Trump's roughly his first big interview since the pew-pewing that he went through. I'm sorry I'm speaking to you in toddler. I never know what YouTube is going to be mad at, but he goes over all kinds of stuff, including his thoughts about the debate with Kamala, what happened with the Olympics. It's going to get really interesting, and it's hilarious, in my opinion. I always love covering him because no matter what you say about Trump, he's entertaining. When I first saw Trump in 2016, that was my first thought. I'm like, I'm not quite sure what to make of this guy yet, but he is entertaining. And in fact, I kind of had a theory, I think some people did back in 2016. He was so outrageous. I was like, is he doing this for marketing for his businesses? If so, it's brilliant. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into this interview. And guys, if you like content like this, make sure and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, guys, sound off in the comments. Tell me what I miss, what you see, what you hear. As well, leave me a like. Everything helps. So, I don't know. Let's watch the Trump show. This is going to be good. And I have a little bit of a new setup. This is the first time I'm filming as recording. So I've been doing live streaming. I'm going to try to do those at least once a night in the evening so you can check those out. But yeah, so we'll see. Let me know in the comments how my OBS works. My guy, my new fiance. Well, he's been my fiance since January. By the way, I don't like saying the word fiance. I don't know, like, no disrespect, but it feels snooty. I don't know. It feels weird. And I'm just not used to saying it. So I still say my boyfriend. But anyways, let me know what you think. So, okay, here we go. Let's check this out.
Moments ago, I sat down with former President Trump for a wide-ranging interview, telling me things that he has never told anyone in an interview before. Enjoy.
Mr. President, first, I would like to say a belated congratulations for retiring Joe Biden, at least from the campaign. And now the polls are coming out for his replacement after a whirlwind positive press for Kamala Harris. But the Real Clear Politics average shows you up at about 1.75%, 7% over her. But before the debate, Biden was 1.5 points behind. So you've actually slightly grown your lead on the national poll. So how do you keep Republicans positive and not buying into kind of the negative publicity that they're seeing?
I think she's a worse candidate than him. She's far more radical left. She is younger. I mean, she's 60 years old. A lot of people, I didn't realize she was 60. I thought she was a little younger, but she's 60.
By the way, some people thought he was kind of shading her for that. I had no clue homegirl was 60. I will say this, she looks amazing for her age. I thought, okay, I just turned 40. I thought she was my age. I really did. I thought she was my age. But by the way, like, most people don't ever believe I'm 40. And when I see people who I think should be 40 and they're 50 and 60, I'm like, really? I don't know. It's kind of, age is kind of a weird thing, but I didn't know that that was a diss. I had no clue either. Also, if you guys didn't know, Kamala is literally as far left as you can go. So her parents were like extremists. They were like Marxist extremists. And she has been voted, like, it has been literally, this is by like Congress and people, they have said she's been voted the most liberal candidate. And she says, if you want extreme change, you need to do extreme things, which, and this is where it sucks, guys. I agree and I disagree. Because it's like, yeah, you do need, radical change to create radical change to an extent, but you also have to respect what's in place and work with it in a way that's healthy for the society and keeps it functional. You need to have both, and you can have both if you do it right. But if you're just focused on an extreme one way or the other, I mean, is that why her state where she was DA, San Francisco, is a crap hole now, which is awful because San Francisco was one of my favorite places. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that in there.
She is talking a big game, but her game is pretty bad. I mean, she was the border czar. She's trying to pretend that she wasn't. It's an amazing thing that's happened too, because we did a long time ago.
It's an evolution, Mr. President, that yes, she was more progressive in 2020, but that she's moved to the middle on a number of these issues, and they're making a concerted effort to show kind of a new Kamala, Kamala 2.0.
in politics, when you start off saying something, that's where you are. And she was for defund the police. She was for open borders. She was for having anybody come in. Now I notice that they're actually saying they want to have immunity for everybody that came into the country, and they want to have citizenship.
She said that, and she said that she knows that Kamala Harris, she assumes Kamala Harris would support that. That means citizenship for 10 million, 15 million,
or
20 million?
Yeah, or 20 million.
What would that do to the country?
Destroy the country. It's already, I mean, it's in such bad shape. Our country has never been in a position like this, in addition to which we could end up in a third world war, okay? But we have 20 million people that have come into the country. I would say by now it's 20, is probably going over that number. We have another 4 months to go, but really it's another 5 months, 5.5 months to go. So that number is going to increase very substantially. They're pouring in, and they're coming from prisons. They're coming from mental institutions, insane asylums. I always say that's a step above a mental institution. And we have a record number of terrorists coming into our country, and only
Just some of the sound bites. They come from insane asylums and mental institutions. I always say that they're just a step above insane asylums or whatever. Like, what does that mean? By the way, I'm not knocking him. I'm just laughing. So one thing he did say, which I could push back on a little bit, is that wherever you start in politics is where you end up. Basically, whatever side you're on. Well, he was very pro-choice back in the day, and now he's more pro-life. But we could also argue he wasn't in politics. I don't think he was in politics when he was pro-choice. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was just more of like his stance on what he thought. I do think people can shift. I mean, look at J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was super against Trump, and now he's super pro-Trump. But I do kind of agree with what he's saying, more like on extreme policies. I mean, we can argue pro-life, pro-choice, those are very extreme policies. That's the one thing that stops me from voting Republican, is that. And I've been pro-choice my whole life, but I'm not pro-choice in the way you think. I'm pro-choice in that we should have better health care and better birth controls that don't make women sick, that men can also use. If we have, in my opinion, if we have better health care, this becomes a much, I don't want to say it completely eliminates the issue, because then there's still like responsibility. So I'll give you guys, quick story. My ET friends and family I work with, the Pleiadians, this is what they tell me. They say, for the most part, we have, I don't want to call it forced birth control, but for the most part, up until a certain age, you don't have children. You can have children like for our age of like 18, you can do it that young, but you actually, like, there are steps to take. You kind of have to get approvals from the community to a certain extent. It's a community process, because to keep people alive, the community is giving what they have. And they typically never deny anybody. It would be like extreme situations, right? But they also have perfect health over there. They can manifest kind of everything they want and need immediately. For them, it's more of a conscious choice of, we want to make sure whatever lives come in, that these are wanted, and this is something that's sustainable for the community. They want conscious thought behind it. And I wish we had something similar. How many times have you heard people say parenting classes? Why we have parenting classes? And over there, that's part of their education. I mean, their education is crazy. It's heads and tails above ours. But no, they are educated in how to do every job in society, including, and very importantly, parenting. And you have to, go through hoops and get counseling and do all these things. But those people, those beings aren't messed up the way we are, so it's different. But yeah, I wish on both sides need to take a look at that issue. Both sides. The left needs to look at, not all of them, but several of them, why they don't value the concept of life as much, and how they are looking at relationships and their bodies and themselves. And the right needs to look at why they can't build a system to sustain the lives that they are trying to push to save, and why does no side look at healthcare. Just wanted to throw that out there. So you guys get, like I said, you get a mixed bag with me when you watch me, but let's keep watching. But I agree with him on everything else. Like everything else, I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right about immigration. I was an immigrant, and a lot of people don't know that. I lived in France. I immigrated to France. And I did that. Some of that was based on the fact that I needed medical help with the system here that's awful. I understand the need to go to a different country. I'm really compassionate. We need overhaul everywhere.
Really bad things are going to happen. Nothing good is going to come out of it.
A big news today is President Biden announcing reforms to the Supreme Court, which include not allowing immunity for presidents and also ethics.
The immunity thing, that's always been there. I don't know why they're acting like, no, he's going to be a dictator. I'm also tired of them saying, he said he'll be a dictator. No, he said on day one, I'll be a dictator about closing the borders, and then that's it. And then he said our revenge will be the country's success. He's going to be a dictator on day one. I'm so tired of it.
Ethics rules. Now, a lot of us who used to clerk at the court believe that that's just a naked attempt to start knocking off conservative justices.
It is.
They didn't even consult Dick Durbin or the Senate Judiciary Committee on any aspect of this. What does this mean to you, what Biden is?
Well, it's a typical Biden con. He doesn't want to give up immunity because if he didn't have immunity, look at all the things he did. The $3.5 million from Russia, all the money he's taken in from China, all of the bad things and the evil things he's done, not to mention that thousands of people killed in the border. Look at the Afghanistan pullout with the worst, most embarrassing day in the history of our country. All of the things he's done that are so bad, he desperately wants immunity. There's no way he would write off immunity for a president.
But this is a really upending of our constitutional structure.
He's doing that.
And a common criticism of you from the left is he's the chaos candidate. He's the chaos former president.
Just the opposite.
And so what does that do to separation of power?
When he is so much stricter when it comes to laws, when it comes to the police, keeping the society in line, how is he the chaos? I think chaos is opening your borders. Chaos is saying we're just going to let crime happen and not punish criminals or have them taken accountable. Chaos is let's remove the police. Make it make sense.
If the executive branch can come along and say, oh, no, even though we have constitutional provisions governing the court, that we're just going to do this, or this is what we stand for.
It's going nowhere. They need 75%, and it's going nowhere. He can't get it. He knows that, too. It's just, I think, look.
Is it a bone
They
to the left,
staged a
hard
coup
left?
against the President of the United States. They went in and they told him, you're leaving. You're way down in the polls, 17 points, I think. You know, it's like you're in a fight with somebody, and you're really winning, and they take him out and they put somebody else in. Nobody ever heard of this before. This is a coup. They took him. They said, even though you got 14 million votes, you're out. And he said, I'm not going out.
But you're saying that's what they're kind of doing with the court as well?
No, what they're doing is they're keeping, they took him out. He was losing badly. They took him out. He wants something to say. He's sitting there with nothing to do, nobody to talk to. They threw him out. This was a coup, the first one, of the President of the United States.
But Harris endorsed this Supreme
said
Court
you're leaving.
proposal. She endorsed this Supreme Court
she did.
proposal.
She's a radical
Every 2
left.
years, this is going to change justice.
Well, they're also, the one thing you didn't say, they want to pack the court. What they really want to do more than any of it is pack the court. They want to put in, so I've heard as many as 27. They've gotten up to 27.
That's not in this proposal, but this is a response to their losing on a number of high-profile cases. I mean, not every case has gone your way or Republicans' ways. Did Republicans ever put forward a series of these types of radical proposals? I don't recall.
They haven't tended to, and we've been behind also. We've been behind in justices, and they don't do this. Actually, FDR did it a long time ago, which was interesting, but it hasn't really happened like this. It's never going to happen. I'll tell you, if I'm president, it doesn't happen. We keep it the way it is, and it's been working very well for a long period of time. I mean, basically, they want to create another Congress. They want to have so many people. Let's just go to another Congress.
I haven't seen you since the assassination attempt on your life.
I think a lot of people need to understand, and I do agree with him on this, it is a coup. What happened with Biden is a coup. They just didn't show it that way. Typically, when we hear about coups, it's this very, violent thing in a country where some militia group comes in and overthrows, right? We didn't quite see that. But behind the scenes, that's what it was. If y'all don't think he had a GUN to his back being forced out, I don't know what to say. I gotta tell you, I'm more and more sad. I was just thinking about it, about the pro-life, pro-choice argument, because I know the reason I talk about this is I have a sibling, and my sibling has said the reason they don't vote Republican as well is because of that. I am so upset that both sides do not look at healthcare as a bigger issue. Healthcare in our country. The left gave us Obamacare. That's forced privatized health insurance on people like me who are disabled, and that healthcare doesn't even help anyway. The right says do it all on your own and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get it through your work in a failing economy when most works don't offer that at this point anymore. Neither side seems to want to fix this, and it bothers me. That part of all of this really, really bothers me. And I'm praying. I know Trump is on the leading edge. He is also, guys, you don't know this, he is funding a lot of technologies, medbed technologies I'm actually involved in to get better. I have another appointment next week for a technology Trump, I know, has funded that we are trying to get pushed so it can be actually law in this country, that this can be looked at as Western medicine, that it is Western medicine in the European countries. They don't want it here. I don't know about you guys, but when I lived in Europe, if you've lived in Europe, my health did so much better in Europe, and it's because their laws are stricter. Their FDA is way stricter on the poison in the food and the water. So there's stuff that we have over here they don't allow over there. I'm praying that in his being pro-life, he will put in better health care as well. I'm praying. I'm not saying he will, or at least he'll talk about it, because not one person talks about it.
Life, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
I feel good.
New information keeps coming out about how this could have occurred, including text messages among some of the local law enforcement, the SWAT teams that were in place. And most recently, we found out that a local SWAT team member actually spotted Crooks 90 minutes before that first shot went off. And they kept tracking him. They even saw him at one point, maybe 45 minutes before, with half hour before the shot was fired, with the rangefinder, pointing it toward the roof. What's your reaction to this?
Look, I can tell you this. Once the bullets started coming at me, and I got very lucky, I have to attribute it to God, because if I didn't turn to the right, and there was no reason to turn to the right except I dropped a big sign on what a great job I'm doing on immigration, right? So the sign's coming down, and I go like this, and it went phew. If I didn't, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
You shouldn't have been on that stage. You shouldn't have been allowed to get on that stage.
But I just want to say one thing about Secret Service. They were very brave, because they were coming, bullets were flying over me, because I went down, bullets were flying, and they were on top of me. I had a lot of people on top of me, a lot of very big, strong people on top of me, I want to tell you. And
he's being gracious because he also had some 5'2" women who hid behind him and couldn't holster the gun. I just need to throw it out there because it drives me nuts.
They were very brave, I have to say that. Okay, with that being said, should have been somebody on the roof. There should have been communication with the local police, which there wasn't, so that's a bad thing. And they were seeing this guy, who was a very disturbed person, and they were seeing him around. I mean, it's like, how about the people, the Trump fans, the Trumpsters, the woman in the red shirt that was screaming, he's got a gun, that guy's got a gun.
But this information, Mr. President, demonstrates via text messages in real time that they spotted this individual. The local SWAT team member spotted him. They lost track of him. They saw him again. But then we find out there was no pre-planning done between the Secret Service and the local SWAT teams, which is common, which is customary, in addition to the drone flying ahead.
Actually, worse, there was no communication. So they didn't speak to each other. They actually didn't speak. That just came out. Look, it's a terrible thing. Should have been some.
Correct it a little bit. The police tried. The police tried. The Secret Service did not. So the police actually did try to communicate. Secret Service was supposed to give briefings, come in. They never did that. They tried to get messages to the Secret Service, and the Secret Service, as far as we can tell, either ignored them or said, okay, and then ignored it.
Somebody up there. Now, the Secret Service shooter, the Secret Service sniper, it was amazing what he did. With one bullet, he took him out. And that was an amazing shot he made. I heard it was like an incredible shot, much further away. It would have been good if it was 9 seconds sooner. You know, we lost one great person and two people were very badly hurt, and now they're doing okay, and we're in communication with them. They're doing pretty good. They're doing very good. I thought they were going to die. I thought both of them were going to die also.
But you agreed to an interview with the FBI as it's called a victim's interview in a situation
They're coming
like
in
this.
on Thursday to see me, and I thought I would. I'm so disappointed. You know, if you took a poll of the FBI, I bet I get 95%. But not at the top level, not at the people, the
Why
political people.
Why do people not trust the upper echelon?
Of course the top's not going to like him because he's a threat. The top of the CIA and the FBI, allegedly, my opinion, are probably some of the most depraved, corrupt people you are ever going to find. Of course they're not going to like him.
Echelon of the FBI at this point.
They've had a bad period of time. I mean, they raided Mar-a-Lago. That's not so good. And I guess we bring a suit. You know, we won that whole case, and we won it the right way. We won it because we won it. We won it in court. It's a big thing. Hardly got any publicity. All they did is talk about the documents. I was allowed the Presidential Records Act, but we won the case, and the press hardly reports it. Now, with Biden, he really was convicted of that case. He was let go of that case. And by the way, you're talking about many more, and he didn't have Presidential Records Act. Just one thing, Laura. They said he was incompetent, and therefore he can't stand trial, and yet he would have been allowed to be president. Think of that. So he sort of semi-won it. Of course, you don't want to have that kind of a victory. You win because you're incompetent.
What?
But he actually was guilty.
What was Melania's reaction, if you don't mind my asking? I know this is very personal, when she learned about what happened on that field in Butler?
She was watching.
Oh, she was watching in real time?
She was watching live. It was all over the place. It was on television. It was on your network, but it was all over the place. And she was watching. I asked her that. I mean, I wasn't there. I was on the ground. And when the world started to, like, you could talk to people, I said, so what was your feeling? And she was, she can't really even talk about it.
Traumatized.
Which is okay, because that means she likes me.
No, she still
she
likes
loves
you.
me.
That's good.
I mean, let's say she could talk about it freely. That wouldn't be, I'm not so sure, which is better. But she either likes or loves me, and that's nice. But I will say this, look, she was, when I went down, she thought the worst had happened, because I went down, and I grabbed and I saw it was, my hand was loaded.
I want to say this. A lot of people have given a lot of criticism to their relationship, and they think that Melania's kind of just under contract or doesn't want to be there, or they're not really in love, or he cheats and whatever. I'm not here to say any of that. I will say this. Regardless of what you think, that is the father of her child. No matter what, when you boil it down, that's going to be upsetting. You don't want to lose the father of your child, if nothing else for your child. And I also want to say this. All relationships are different. And a lot of people, as they are in a relationship and time progresses, that relationship changes and it molds and it goes through different evolutions, and that's okay. I just find it interesting that the left likes to harp on his relationship when they were totally fine with what happened with Bill and Hillary. Just want to throw that out there. I find watching hypocrisy interesting and entertaining.
Put it up with blood. You see it in slow motion, instant replay. You know, we had hundreds of press there. So this was covered live. They would have had instant replay and everything else, which they already do in this. But supposing the worst happened, you know, one man, Corey, was killed, hit horribly,
amazing man,
horribly in the head. And, you know, to guard it, he was guarding his family.
That's why how important it is to get to the bottom of why this was allowed to occur.
No,
I mean, he died.
No, he died.
You almost died.
He died instantly. Instantly. He was dead immediately.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Okay, guys, so then there's another part to this. There's a couple parts because they just came out. I didn't put this out yesterday because I figured they would trickle some of this stuff out. So this one, he talks about Kamala. And this is going to be really funny. So let's look at this.
Here's more of my interview with former President Trump.
They're also attacking you for other ridiculous reasons. They're saying that you said to a crowd of Christians that they won't have to vote in the future.
Yeah, let me say what did I mean by that. I had a tremendous crowd speaking to Christians. I mean, this was a crowd that liked me a lot. I think I'm at 97% or something. And they're treated very badly by this administration, okay? Yep. Catholics are treated unbelievably. They're like persecuted. And if I might say, before I go into the other, Jewish people, if you're Jewish and you vote for Biden or the Democrats or Kamala or whoever's going to run, I guess it's going to be her. But if you voted for her or the Democrats, you should have your head examined, because nobody's ever been treated so badly by this. This administration is destroying Israel.
I like what he's saying. First of all, I will say I am a former Catholic. It's so funny because Laura Ingraham, sometimes she'll say something where you can hear, I don't know if she's Midwestern, but you'll hear a little Midwestern accent. My guy, so I'm from Kansas City. My accent's a little more tame, but my guy's from Omaha. And so every so often, like, he'll say a happy hour, and I'll start laughing. But anyway, so I grew up Catholic. I never really super subscribed to it, but I grew up to it, went in the communion. I think the Catholics, if the Catholics take a lot of heat, I would say it's because their leaders allow things to happen to children that aren't okay, and there's no justice. So I know if you're watching and you consider yourself Catholic, I'm not referring to you. I want you guys to understand, you guys are probably good people just trying to figure things out in the world and trying to figure out spirituality. I'm not upset with you. But if your leaders at the top are doing stuff like that, and then you still continue to support that, it makes society look at you side-eyed. I'm saying that as a former Catholic. And I will say with the Jewish people, it is crazy what has happened. It is crazy. The left screamed that everybody was Nazis for the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. And now they are fully against Jewish people. And I get the arguments. I can understand why people are upset about Palestine, this, that, and the other. Look, I get it. I'm not here to debate any of that. I'm saying, though, when you just look at it from that angle, the hypocrisy is fascinating. And y'all know your girl loves hypocrisy.
Et cetera, et cetera. So with respect to like a statement like I made, that statement is very simple. I said, vote for me. You're not going to have to do it ever again. It's true. Because we have to get the vote out. Christians are not known as a big voting group. They don't vote. And I'm explaining that to them. You never vote. This time, vote. I'll straighten out the country. You won't have to vote anymore. I won't need your vote. You can go back to not voting.
You don't have to vote for you because you have 4 years in office.
Look.
Christians
are known. You know who else doesn't vote? Gun owners don't vote.
But just to be clear, what you're saying, though, you're not saying it's being interpreted as you are not surprised to hear by the left as well. They're never going to have another election. He's saying there's not. So
first time I've even heard.
Can you even just respond to that?
I said Christians. I started off by saying, just so you understand, you never vote. Christians do not vote well. They vote in very small percentages. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're disappointed in things that are happening, but for a long time. I say, you don't vote. I'm saying, go out. You must vote. November 5th is going to be the most important election in the history of our country. Whether you vote early or not, we should have, by the way, one-day voting. We should have voter ID. We should have proof of citizenship. And we should have paper ballots, okay? That's what we should have. But we don't have that. But I said to the Christians in the room, thousands of them, I said, typically Christians do not vote. Why it is, I don't know. You're rebellious. Something's going on. Don't worry about the future. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed, and we won't even need your vote anymore because, frankly, we will have such love. If you don't want to vote anymore, that's okay. And I think everybody understood it. I didn't know there was any difference.
Well, I mean, because it's the...
So let's translate it so people understand, because I think he is so used to being on edge from being taken out of context that he feels like he has to re-explain. And it's so funny. He's such a Gemini, and I am a Gemini, and I have been through this publicly, not nearly on the scale. I mean, microcosm that he has, but where everything you say and do is fully taken out of context. He's saying, hey, Christians, you never vote. If you vote in this election, you won't have to vote again because I'm going to fix everything to where you won't have to. He's not saying there won't be elections and I'm going to be a dictator, which is what the left loves to just spin. It's interesting how the left spins everything he says, and yet the left doesn't actually do any good for anyone. If you're a left and you're watching me, I'm not talking about you specifically. I mean your people at the top. What have they done to help any minorities as they scream that everything is racist? What have they done? I want to know what they've actually done to go help any minority communities. Also, in screaming about minorities being awful, in screaming about minorities, why do we never talk about the Native Americans? Why is it that from DEI, Asians are discriminated against? I'm with an Asian. So, well, somebody who is of Asian descent. This is something we've talked about. I've said it's really interesting. You can sometimes, some of the minority arguments you can start breaking down when you put the Asians into it. And for some reason, nobody wants to talk about that. It's a video for another day. By the way, that's not to say that all the other issues don't matter or aren't issues. I'm just saying that is a caveat and a wrench when you throw at them that they don't know what to say. So it's totally okay to say, hey, in colleges, don't take any more Asians. Although they're a minority, make it make sense.
Constant refrain. I mean, after they have done all the things that we've talked about today.
Horrible.
All of the things.
Russia, all the things.
And dump their guy of 52 years. Just dump him to the side. So they do all that, and then they say, well, no, you can't vote for him because he's literally never going to leave office. They're actually still saying that.
It's just unbelievable.
But you will leave office after 4 years.
By the way, and I did last time. I kept hearing, he's not going to leave, he's not going to leave. Look, they are the ones that are a threat to democracy. Number one, they had an incompetent man as president, okay? Now they have somebody who's worse. She's sort of incompetent. She's not very smart, but she's very radical. Very radical. She will try and defund the police. She's going to try and defund.
Is she more of an extremist than most
Bernie.
Americans today still understand?
Than Bernie. They say more than Bernie. More than Bernie Sanders. Bernie,
he endorsed her.
Bernie Sanders is a major lunatic, okay? She's worse than Bernie Sanders. Now, she's trying to come back. She got rid of the laugh. I noticed I haven't seen that crazy laugh that she got. She's crazy. That laugh, that's the laugh of a crazy person. But I noticed that she's not using that laugh anymore. Somebody convinced her, don't laugh, just don't laugh. Don't laugh under any circumstances because you.
I like laughter, but sometimes.
Not her laughter.
But she claims now she's tough. She's tough on crime. She was a tough prosecutor. Never the borders are.
She was a bad prosecutor. She was a prosecutor of black people. She put thousands and thousands of black people in jail over marijuana.
Correct. She made minorities slaves in California. On top of that, she made them do forced labor. When they had the California wildfires, she was forcing them against their wills and with little to almost no pay to go out there and fight fires that they don't know how to do, they're not equipped to do, and were extremely dangerous. So she is literally this woman is pro-slavery, and don't think she's not.
But when it came to big crime, murders and everything else, she was weak.
Yes.
She would love to go after Trump. You know, she says, oh, Trump, 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 I did nothing wrong. They did a lot wrong, but I did nothing wrong. This was a totally manufactured deal. This was an attack on a political opponent. And she was involved in that with Biden. And so far, it's backfired because people know this was an attack on a political opponent. She was a bad prosecutor in San Francisco. She led the cashless bail and all of the different things. She was the first of all of the bad prosecutors that have allowed. You know, if you look at the 25 top cities, they're basically all Democrat. The prosecutors are weak. She was the early. She destroyed. She's a San Francisco liberal.
Hey, it's JD Vance. If you can't afford to donate because of the wreckage of Joe Biden's economy, I understand.
They're pushing for debates with you.
Yeah.
It went down in flames for them last time, but they think this is they're going to get you. So you've been kind of a little unclear about whether you're going to debate or not. Will you commit tonight to debating Kamala?
So I like debating. I like debating. I've done a lot of debates, and I've won the debates. I think they say I won the election because of that. I don't mind. They were pushing for this early debate. I said, why do we want to do an early debate? It didn't make sense to me. It turned out I was right, but for the wrong reasons, right? I want to do a debate, but I also can say this. Everybody knows who I am, and now people know who she is. She's a radical left lunatic. She'll destroy our country. She wants open borders.
Then why not debate her?
Well, wait. But because they already know everything. She wants to defund our police. She wants no bail. She wants no cash. You kill somebody and we're going to release you immediately. They call it cashless. Cashless. By the way, this has been a horrible thing for our country. This has been what I just said. But we know where she is. She wants high taxes.
Well, they're going to say you're afraid of debating her. That's what they're going to say.
Well, they said that with Biden, too. You know, I was afraid. I did great with Biden, and I did great in every debate. I've had a lot of debates.
But you're winning on all the issues,
But, you
right?
know, I'm leading in the polls by, I think, a lot. I don't know. I hear different numbers. But I'm leading in all of the polls. I'm leading big in all of the swing states. And I say this. The answer is yes, I'll probably end up debating. I think, actually, the debate should take place before the votes start being cast. You know, I had a very good second debate with Biden. I really beat him badly. The problem was 30-40% of the votes were already cast. If you're going to have a debate, you got to do it, I think, before the votes are cast. I think it's very important that you do that. So the answer is yes. But I can also make a case for not doing it. Also, I don't like rewarding fake news. I don't like rewarding the people that have been. They're going to make tens of millions of dollars with this debate. I don't like ABC. I think it's a terrible, terrible outfit. I don't like that ABC is going to get rich. George Slopadopoulos, as I call him. I don't like these are such bad people. I don't like that ABC is going to get rich. I don't like, and I will say something that when CNN did the last one, they were very fair. Jake Tapper was very fair.
Well, maybe just you and Vice President Harris in a room together with no moderators.
I don't mind that. I don't mind anything. Look, I don't mind. We can do any form of a debate. You know, when they asked me to do the debate, they didn't think I was going to do it because they were going to offer. They offered me the two heads, the two announcers, whatever you'd call them.
So let's clarify, because he's a talker and he likes to justify. And I'm laughing because I understand it. I'm the same way. I have the same instincts. He doesn't want to debate because he wants to make sure they debate before the first votes are cast. I think that's fair. I think that's fair assessment. Why would you debate after votes are cast? Okay. He also doesn't want to do this and make these awful organizations like ABC, NBC even more money. I can't argue with that. I don't think he's scared to debate her specifically, in my opinion. Maybe there's some trepidation. I'm not saying that there's not. But I do agree with him. However, in saying all of that, well, he just said the second debate he destroyed Biden, but it was after the votes were cast. And he didn't like that. So he's learning from the first mistake. I was going to say, well, he did it with Biden, but now he's saying he learned from that. I can respect all of that. I can definitely respect all of that. So then I agree with her. He was like, well, CNN did a good job. So why not go back to that same debate? But maybe he has. Maybe his people have said to Kamala, hey, we will do a debate, but it needs to be before the votes are cast, and she doesn't want to. I don't know.
Referees, call them whatever you want. But I have to say they were both very fair. It was CNN. They wanted to sit down. I said, no, I don't want to sit down. You can't sit down. They want to sit down. They offered me everything that I couldn't accept, and I accepted it. I accepted everything.
He did.
And we had a debate. It was a great debate. It was actually, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have debated so well because if I didn't, that was the end of him. Because from that day on, you could see that he was not going to be, in my opinion, I said, I don't think he's going to make it anymore. Now I have her. I would rather run against her than him. I think she's easier than he is. Because he had a certain, I always felt he was.
Scranton Joe.
I always felt he was incompetent, but he had a certain base. And no matter how bad he was, people were going to vote for him. She doesn't have that base.
I think what he's referring to, this is just my opinion, I think he means Joe was not elected because he was the best person. He was elected because they wanted to vote for somebody other than Trump. He had that angry base. Joe had that angry base of just Trump haters so badly that when you remove all that, it kind of becomes chaos. And with Kamala, you kind of have to look at the issues, and they also have to see that their party lied to him. So I can also understand the way he's kind of like, I kind of wish I wouldn't have beat him so bad because he'd still be there. I think Biden would have been easier for him to beat, but I do think I do agree with him. The base is going to be more aggressive. Even if he were in a coma, they probably would have voted for him, which is sad. And there's one more video they have released, guys. It's a 5-minute one. It's shorter. And this one is about him returning to Butler, Pennsylvania for another rally, which I do think is fantastic. So let's look.
President Trump.
So you're going back to Butler to finish that speech, to give another speech.
I'm going back to, it's interesting to finish it. You say, and now to proceed
continued,
from where.
To be continued.
Yeah, I mean,
Why?
It's a very interesting way of looking at it.
I mean, I think that's, I think I've said that was a good idea. It's a good idea. Why?
I think it's important symbolically. I don't think we should be stopped by somebody that has severe mental problems or whatever his problem was.
You're going to do rallies outside.
Yeah, I'm going to do rallies.
A lot of predictable backbiting and media pig piles on your vice presidential choice, J.D. Vance. They're stereotyping him as some, out of control, knee-jerk, conservative, et cetera, et cetera. But some of it's coming from Republicans who I think want to go back to the days of open borders and perpetual war. How do you expect to use him in this campaign, and what can you say to our viewers tonight to reassure them that this was an excellent pick?
Well, first of all, he's got tremendous support. And he really does among a certain group of people that like families. I mean, he made a statement having to do with families. That doesn't mean that people that aren't a member of a big and beautiful family with 400 children around and everything else, it doesn't mean that a person doesn't have, he's not against anything, but he loves family. It's very important to him. He grew up in a very interesting family situation, and he feels family is good. And I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that. Now, they took that as an indication that people that don't have families, look, I could see.
It's an easy opening, right?
I have, it's so crazy.
Easy.
But I know so many people, they never met the right person, male or female, they just never met the right person. They're unbelievable. They're every bit as good as anybody else that has the most beautiful
So what do you say to
family.
women out there watching? He's addressed it, but what do you say to women out there watching
I think
who may not have kids?
I think they understand it. No, I think they understand it. The Democrats are good at spinning things differently from what they were. All he said is he does like, I mean, for him, he likes family. I think a lot of people like family, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And you know why? You don't meet the right person, or you don't meet any person. But you're just as good, in many cases, a lot better than a person that's in a family situation. But they took it and they spun it differently. When you listen to his words, you know, you helped me very much when you analyzed the what was said in Charlottesville. And what I said was perfect. But they stopped it after the first sentence.
Classic.
They didn't put the second sentence and the third sentence. And you were actually very helpful in that. You were the first one that picked that up. And once that happened, all of a sudden, and now every time you see Joe Biden with that phony story that he ran for president because of Charlottesville, it's just.
Did he drop out because of Charlottesville too?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, he dropped out, and it's really, he truly did. That was a coup on an American president. And Obama doesn't like him, and he doesn't like Obama.
Do you believe that reporting, that Cy Hirsch reporting that Obama basically through various channels, maybe even directly to Biden, said, "Look, Joe, you either leave or, you know, they're going to use the 25th Amendment."
We'll do it the easy way or the hard way.
Right. Some version of that story.
Yeah,
do you find that plausible?
That's what happened. I mean, the bad part is that it's not. You know, they talk about a threat to democracy. They're a threat to democracy, because they should have gone out to see who it is. Now, I like this better because I'd rather run against him than I think any one of the people that we're talking about or that could get it. I think I probably would prefer running against her more than running against anybody else. She's a disaster.
You're the clear favorite, by the way, in the top three issues: the economy, immigration, inflation. So let's start with the economy. What would your policies do to bring down inflation so people understand? Like you said, we're going to have a great economy, but how?
So, pretty easy. He blew it with energy, with oil prices, gasoline prices, and he really blew it because it went up. I was at $1.87. They went up to $5, $6, and they're going up again, by the way, if you're not watching. Drill, baby, drill. If we get energy down, everything else is going to follow. It's the most important thing. Additionally, we have to keep all of these people that are causing this country a fortune. You know, we're giving them health care, we're giving them schooling, we're giving them hospitals. They're taking up our hospitals.
Illegal
we have
immigrants.
to close up the border. We cannot afford, no country can afford to take millions of people and support them. And you know what? Where they're living right now, most of them are coming just.
We could if we changed our societies. So I agree with, so far, I agree with everything you're saying within reason. As our society stands as it is right now, no, we cannot take all these people. And even with changes in society, we would still need to vet people. You need to do that. Absolutely. I just want to say, though, we could take care of all the Americans and the immigrants. And you might think, well, that's not possible. No, it is. Not in the society we have now. If the technology was released for 4D and 5D printing, to manifest everything you want and need, 3D printing is the baby step to that. It's how the Palladians do it. They have machines, and also with their minds, within reason, they can manifest the majority of what they want and what they need. And because of that, most people don't have a bunch of egoic stuff like about things and consumerism. That's not a thing there. For them, they look at everything more as social status and a social hierarchy. And for that, it's all about how much you contribute to your communities in what ways. And that's how they value one another when it comes to worth in their society. So we could do it, but we have to do an overall society. Also, I agree with him about becoming energy independent. Why aren't we doing free energies? He probably knows at this point that's not even one he can try to broach, or they will take him out. How many people have made free energy devices and have tried to put it on the market, and suddenly they and their families are no longer with us? Just want to throw that out there.
Just because they think this is a great opportunity to come. They weren't dying where they're living. They lived there, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. They weren't dying. They're coming here because you look at guys like Gavin Newsom, where he says openly, come here, come to us, we're going to take you in.
He called him Gavin Newsom. Guys, he called him Gavin Newsom. I don't care what anybody says about him. He entertains me and I just laugh, even if I don't agree with him on everything. And really, I bet if he and I sat down, not that this would happen, but if we ever got to sit down and have a conversation, he and I would agree on a ton of stuff. He would probably agree with the majority of what I'm saying, even though y'all might think some of this is crazy. I'm talking about ET Tech. He funds it. He supports it. It's stuff that I'm not yet allowed to speak about. But you want to know why I'm looking better? I'm sounding better. I look good. My health is getting better is because of that. He knows, but he knows he can only go so far with certain things, in my opinion. Now, in saying that, it doesn't make him a perfect human being. I'm so tired of people acting like everybody has to be perfect. The left gets to do and say whatever they want. It's justified, and they get to take everything out of context with the right and call them evil. And the right has their own issues, as I've pointed out. I've pointed out several times, right? But the left, it's not playing fair. And my prayer is this. My prayer is I hope Trump is the man that gets in office who genuinely is going to help so many different issues that need to be overhauled. I'm hoping that he isn't, he had to take a party. So if he's going to take a party, take the right because they're not as crazy. I get it. I just hope he's the one that's going to put in and really push the technologies for health and for free energy. Is that going to happen? I don't know. But I think he's our best shot so far. I love hearing him talk, though. He's so entertaining. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think of his interview? What do you think of my assessment of things? As always, guys, I love to hear your opinions. Did I miss something that you heard? Tell me your thoughts because you guys are so smart. I get so much good insight from y'all. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. Also, guys, if you like this content and you want to watch videos like this more, make sure and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave me a like just because that personally helps me if you like the video. Okay, guys, until the next one, I'm giving y'all hugs, kisses, stay safe. Thank you for being here, and as always, I'll see you soon. Bye.